Alright, so in this video, we're going to actually get to the fun part of this course, which is getting hands-on with Tor and actually taking a look at the deep web in action. So for this video, you will need a computer for the next part and an active internet connection. For this example, we'll be using a Windows computer with Windows 10 on it. You can use a Mac computer as well, or a Linux computer. Generally, it's going to be the same across the board. Linux is going to be way different, of course, but if you're on Mac or Windows, the idea of installing Tor is going to be about the same. So just follow along throughout this video, and you should be good to go. So from here on out, we're going to go ahead and hop over to the desktop, so I'll see you there. Alrighty, and here we are back over on the desktop. I'm taking a cast of the entire desktop here. Usually people edit out this bottom area, but I'm just going to keep it there so you know where we're at and what we're doing with everything. So the first thing you want to do is, of course, open your web browser. In this case, we will be using the Mozilla Firefox browser, and we're on a private browsing session. Doesn't matter if you want to do it incognito mode or not. And then from here, we're just going to go ahead and navigate to the Tor project.org. Pretty simple to remember. Once you're over there on that website, you'll see a giant download button in the middle of the screen. Just go ahead and hit that, and it should automatically detect what operating system you are using. If it does not, you'll need to definitely specify down here on the right hand side, but we'll go ahead and just hit the download Tor browser option. And we'll want to hit the save file, and it'll begin to download. And while that's downloading, of course, it'll take longer depending on your internet connection. While that's downloading, though, let's take a look at some things torproject.org offers. One of the useful tools you can find on here is the actual documentation. This documentation has a lot of information about Tor, setting up Tor bridges, working on Tor relays, or setting up a Tor node. Just pretty much anything you can think of, they have it in here. And it's pretty useful if you ever have questions about Tor or any advanced information you want to know. You can see through here, installing Tor sources, configuring relays, things like that. And then we have the Tor wiki as well, which is just a bunch of information on the Tor browser and how it works and everything like that. So definitely, if you have any questions about Tor at any point, this is going to be your best source to go to first. They have all the documentation. They created it, so they definitely know how to get around problems and issues with it. So I would go here first if you have any questions. But our download looks like it finished up, so we'll go ahead and open up the download. We'll want to run it in Windows. You might have a different option there in Mac. But once it's ran, we'll go ahead and start installing it. We'll want to do English, and then it will actually prompt us to choose our install location right over here. So we'll go ahead and hit install. And you won't get this message if you don't have Tor already installed. I do have it on this computer already. You can see it right there. So you most likely won't have this, but if you do end up getting this, just go ahead and hit yes, and it will install over that previous install. And while it's installing, if you want to see more details about the install, of course, you can hit show details. And again, this process will be a tad different on the Mac, but generally it should be about the same. And there are plenty of resources online to be able to install it on Mac as well if you have any questions or are running into any problems. But that is getting almost there to install. It might take a moment here. So while that's installing, we'll go back to this torproject.org. We kind of hit on everything I wanted to talk about with this website. Lots of good stuff here, though, guys. It's very, very useful. And if you didn't know about Tor on your actual iPhone or Android, you can get Tor on there. However, you can't get it on the iPhone. Actually, you can get it, but it's not very safe. The safest tool is going to be your Orbot, which is on an Android system only. So if you have an Android phone and want to try to browse the deep web through there, you can definitely use the Orbot tool. However, it's not suggested that you actually purchased anything using this app. This is only for general browsing. It's just not the safest if you're not using the correct tools. And definitely on the iPhone, there are apps like, I believe Red Onion is one of them. And these apps let you browse the deep web. And while it will let your iPhone connect to the deep web, it's not the safest possible, and you probably shouldn't be using it. So if you want to use that, you could definitely go ahead and do that. However, it's not recommended. The only recommended tool for using Tor on a phone is going to be Orbot for Android, because that is created by the Tor project as well. So taking a look at our download, it looks like we're ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and just run the Tor browser, make sure it does get up and running just fine. And we'll hit finish there and just let it load up. And when it first opens, you will see a little screen like this come up. Just that's actually connecting to the Tor network. So it's doing what we talked about earlier in this course, where it actually connects to a Tor server, downloads a list of nodes, and then gets your connection ready for those nodes. And then once it's good to go, you will see the Tor browser window actually fully come up. And that's basically it. If you've done all of this, your Tor browser should be good and the latest up to date. If it's not up to date, you'll get a big warning security message here with a giant arrow pointing right here that you need to actually update it. But other than that, it's pretty much good to go. And you'll see a lot of different things security-wise. It looks different from a normal browser. So we'll go through in the next video on what each of these things are and what they mean for the name of security. But you can see the first one right off the bat if you actually maximize this to the full screen. Well, it did not come up, but usually there's an error message that comes up saying, hey, if you go to the full screen size, people can detect your monitor resolution, which can help reveal your location. And that is definitely true. So there's just little things that this Tor browser does that makes browsing the internet a lot easier and a lot more anonymous. But we can first off, the first thing we want to do with Tor, just to test our connection here, we'll go ahead and just load Google. Just to be sure we are working on the Tor network and we can actually connect to something. And it's important to note that connections over the Tor network are a lot slower than the normal internet. You're not going to be able to connect very fast. And it looks like Google loaded up just fine. And you can see this isn't the English Google. This is a different language, I believe. I'm not even sure which language this is. Looks like it would be Swiss because that's our last exit node. So that's important to note. Up here over by this onion. If you press on that, it'll actually show you your Tor circuit. So it'll be showing you, your browser, your first entry node, that middle node, and then your exit node. And your website, if it loads based off of location, it will obviously load per your exit node because that's where it thinks you're located. So in this case, we have the Swiss Google loaded up. And it's a pretty neat little thing to take a look at and just understand. So that's basically it. If you have any questions about this, of course, hit Deep Web Academy. Otherwise, head to the next video where we'll kind of explain all these things like the circuit and explain what this no script or script scope globally is and talk about this HTTPS button over here in the settings. So you'll want to get used to all those things before you start using the Tor browser so you can understand what they are and how they actually affect your browsing experience. So go ahead and head to the next video and I'll see you there.